Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reds Rundown podcast, hosted by two lifelong Reds fans and journalists. I'm Rob, he's Joe, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Joe, how is it going over in the Joe DiTullio world?
It's going all right. We have some college baseball going on, which is always fun for me with this NCAA tournament, having some good moments, which is a nice distraction from some of the Red struggles. So, yeah, I'm sure we're going to get into it here, but yeah, that's been nice to have other things going on.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Wright State pulling off a big win against number one Vanderbilt, one of the biggest upsets that I can remember in a long time. So we will take that. Joe, today we're going to be, doing question of the day. As always, we'll check in on the games this past week, injury updates. We're going to talk a little Andrew Abbott, Matt McLain, a tough June, and then we'll get to the Milwaukee Brewers and Diamondbacks. Going to be a heck of a week for our Cincinnati Reds. We'll start with our question of the day, Joe. Something we will address: should Matt McLain be sent down to AAA? Yay or nay? Let us know what you guys think in the comments section below. But let's hop into it here. It was a rough week. Well, it was an okay week for the Reds, I will say. The Reds started off the week with a big win on Monday after a rough Chicago and Pittsburgh series. They won 7-4. Nick Martinez was excellent. 3 earned runs, 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 strikeouts, 1 home run given up. Tyler Stevenson with a massive home run. Old friend Michael Lorenzen would get roughed up a bit. TJ Friedl continued to be absolutely scorching hot. Austin Hayes would have his third triple in 4 games. Stevenson would go 3 for 5. And Garrett Hampson would get his first start and go 2 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. Tony Santillan and Emilio Pagan would lock it down. The Reds would go on to win again 7-2 on Tuesday with 3 more hits from TJ Friedl. Tyler Stevenson would stay hot with a big home run. Elly De La Cruz with 2 big home runs as well. Brady Singer would pitch well against his old team. 7 hits in 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, lowering his ERA to a 4.6. Joe, the Reds would beat up the Royals on their bullpen day. They would be unfortunately unable to come back and take down the Royals in Game 3 of this series, though. Friedl would have 2 more hits. Stevenson with 3 more hits for himself as well. Spencer Steer with 3 hits as well, but only 1 extra base hit, 1 double from Elly De La Cruz. Hunter Green would go 5, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and would lose the duel with Noah Cameron, unfortunately, but he has been quite strong to start his career as well. Joe, I didn't get to watch much of the Wednesday game, but the rest of the series, the Reds looked better. Their offense, for the most part, really ever since the Chicago series, has been better. Better is the way I would put it. It's still not great, but better. It was disappointing to not sweep the Royals at their place. I really thought we had a good shot of doing it.
Yeah, this is a team that I think playing the Cubs really opened up those bats the first time around. To me, I think that's where we kind of got it going. And I thought we had some more consistency, and I guess we did. Obviously we scored 2 runs in the last game. That's usually a game we score 0 runs and lose. That's the big stat right now. We score so many games when there have 1 or 0 runs scored, or we've lost so many games when we don't score the first run. And we're actually a very good team when we score the first run. So, kind of crazy to me. I think there are a lot of things that could change about the lineup. I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but my guy Santiago Espinal probably needs to get moved down in the order. That's something we mentioned last week. I do still like him. I think he's having a good season for who he is, for a utility player, and I appreciate that. But there's just not a lot of offensive production coming, and he's not a guy you should be betting in the top of your order right now, especially with how many potential good players we have and good players that even against lefties I think we could throw in there. So that's, I think, something that has, I mean, he was even hitting good in the first part of the series. He was not maybe in this last series hitting as well. His average has come down. I think stacking the lineup will be good, but we also saw the reason why we were able to win the games in Kansas City, Rob, was the power. We had Tyler Stevenson hitting home runs. We had Elly De La Cruz hitting home runs. And I think especially since Austin Hayes is now out, which we're going to talk about here soon, Elly now has 12 home runs after this week. Hayes is tied for second with 6, and he's played, half the games, 31 games out of 60 right now. So that's kind of the thing is look, the power did show up, and it is a bigger ballpark too. So that's
Hmm.
not like that's pretty impressive they were able to do that. But why can't we hit it home? Why can't we hit at our small ballpark? So that's something I'm watching for. As a result of this series, where we saw what the offense could do against the Royals, and I'm trying to watch like who's going to be the guy who picks up that power bat to help out Ellie, who has 12, who's getting a more respectable range now. When the next person on the team has 6, that's just not it's not good enough.
No, there's no doubt about it. And I think we've, unfortunately beaten this dead horse quite a bit. But there's got to be something that gets added at some point here. Austin Hayes can't stay healthy. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, there are people who are coming around. The problem is, like you said, the power is still not there. I think that, there are players who can do that. I think that Steer is starting to show his timing is back. I think the next thing that will come with it will be power for him. So it's been good to see him and Stevenson kind of finding it a little bit. I know people have been a little upset that they weren't playing Trevino, that they weren't playing, Austin Wins as much. But to be honest with you guys, I really think that unfortunately it needed to, they needed to kind of ride out Stevenson and Steer's slow starts and see what happens here over the summer as they begin to heat up. But we will go into a Cubs series that I think was a very interesting one, is the way I will put it, Joe. Because the Reds started off with a big win. They got back to 500, 6-2. Home run from TJ Friedl, from Tyler Stevenson, and in his first game back, Jake Fraley. They would carry the offense. But it was Andrew Abbott. 1 hit over 7 innings, a walk, 8 Ks. It feels like this Cubs team is so good hitting wise that you can never count them out. Tony Santillan, who has been struggling a bit as of late, struggled again, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and they might have just used him a bit too much. But Graham Ashcraft and Emilio Pagan would come in. Graham would get things a little bit too spicy for the Reds, so Emilio would come in and have to shut it down. But for the most part, it was good to see everybody in the lineup other than Spencer Steer and Santiago Espinal would have hits. We would head into the Saturday game, which was a frustrating one. TJ Friedl would be the only one with a hit. Nick Lodolo was great. 5 hits, 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. He would get a no decision. Graham Ashcraft would struggle. 3 hits, 2 earned runs on 2 walks, no strikeouts on this one. Lyon Richardson, though, would come in and finish out the game, I guess. But this team, again, just really could not find a way to manufacture anything. They had 1 walk from Gavin Lux early in the game and just the hit from TJ Friedl. Ben Brown had his best game of the season. He showed kind of why he was one of their top pitching prospects. And then we went into the Sunday game. The Reds would drop 7-3. They were unable. Nick Martinez was unable to keep the Cubs off the board early. 7 hits, 2 walks, 5 runs given up with a home run on 2 Ks. The bullpen, for the most part, would lock it down as well. A big error from Santiago Espinal and Will Benson would cause them to give up 2 more here during Lyon Richardson, maybe getting bailed out a little bit in terms of earned runs there, but a hit, a walk, 2 strikeouts as well. The rest of the bullpen, for the most part, would hold it down. Ellie De La Cruz would hit a home run the day after his sister sadly passed away. So big for him to kind of keep himself in there, keep his goal of hitting 162 games this year. And he had a good day, 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, 1 walk, and a rare no strikeout day for him. So it was a weird Cubs series. Like, it felt like, Sunday was it really was surprising to see them struggle as much as they did, considering how well they hit Ben Brown in that first game that they saw him last weekend. What was surprising to me, Joe, is everybody's like, well, he didn't have to pitch the first inning. It's so different. And it's like, well, then get him in the second inning, when he still has to pitch a first inning. I know it was kind of a mental thing for him, and he was dominant. I mean, he looked very good, but it was just surprising to me that the Reds could not find a way to kind of break out into him. And it felt like they were making decent contact for the most part, too. It just, things were not falling their way. So, I don't know, Joe. It just still feels like the Cubs are the cream of the crop right now for our Redlegs. Unfortunately, 2-4 to start the season against them is not the worst, but you would have loved to have seen them sneak one out here, keep themselves at that 500 mark heading into what is going to be a rough June that we'll talk about here in a minute. But what are your thoughts kind of on this Cubs series? It was not a great one, but not the worst thing in the world either.
Yeah, I think the biggest part was we had sorry, clear my throat. Second straight week I have a throat clearing incident. Here we go. The first game was so good because of Abbott and because the offense actually showed up, and it was so disappointing for me. Yeah, we scored 0 runs in the second game, but I think the defense was the bigger problem here. We had Ellie double pump a throw to first base where Dansby Swanson gets safe at first base, and it was, why are you double pumping, dude? So there's that. I mean, Will Benson, this is awful podcasting. Please leave this in. This is way more fun than what it usually is. Will Benson cuts off TJ Friedel in the outfield and drops the ball. What are you doing there? We have Matt McLain dropping a ball, losing it in the sun. Luckily, Jake Fraley was there to pick it up and throw it to second base to get a force out. Santiago Espinal had an error on a very tough chopper. It just is a total breakdown. And at certain points, like, I guess I expect the offense at this point to be not great, just from our experience with everything, even though it did look like it was heading forward. But that was just the frustrating stuff. There were so many things where it just didn't need to happen. Like, it's Ellie's double pump. If he doesn't double pump, Swanson's out at first. That helps save some runs. Will Benson doesn't cut off TJ Friedel. Friedel probably catches it. I think with the way the wind was blowing, I think Friedel probably had a better angle on the ball. And obviously, center fielder, it's his ball. If he can get to it for the most part, that's kind of the general rule of thumb. So that was, for me, the biggest thing. Like, yes, it stinks we couldn't hit too much at the end. But when the starting pitching's been so good this year, this year it did falter a little bit. The bullpen is definitely losing steam these last couple of weeks. We're now ranked, I think, tied for 18th in the league in bullpen ERA. And Graham Ashcraft, as you mentioned, had a little bit of a rough outing this series as well. You can't have defensive mistakes like this if we're not going to hit the ball, and with that bullpen being a little bit leaky. So, to me, that was like an accountability that was promised to us before the season from the front office and then from Terry. That needs to come down. Someone needs to get Nelly's ear about being so casual in the field. He needs to, yes, he's a very good player. We've talked about, he had some struggles we talked about last week, and we're still rooting for him. We want him to be good. That type of stuff just can't happen. Like, you can't have a double pump be getting a guy safe at first base when you just don't need to do it. So this is the time where accountability for defense needs to step up. Accountability for having better at bats needs to step up as well. We talked about the strikeouts and how many pitches were down the middle. That happened again this week. There's so many pitches down the middle we just can't hit. 97 miles an hour, right down the middle. We just can't drive it. Maybe a little bit in the first two games against Kansas City, but not really after that. So there's a lot of things that I think need to get better. I think we're slowly seeing progress, even though this was a 3-3 week. These were two good teams. Kansas City above 500. Chicago obviously leading the division. But the problem that comes to us now is like every series besides that Red Sox series we talked about is going to be against a team over 500. So at some point, these 3-3 weeks need to turn into 4-2 weeks, or 5-2 weeks if there's 7 games. You need to start having that come through. It would have been nice to get this one since we started off the week so well, but it's okay that we went 3-3. It's just now we have the Brewers and Diamondbacks up. Do you see us going 3-3, 4-2? We're 2 games below 500. We need to start making up this ground now because the schedule's so tough. And so, like we said last week, Rob, until July 7th, we have very, very tough games. So defense needs to get cleaned up. Hitting needs to be better. Power needs to come back. Starting pitching's starting to fall off a little bit, but I still have a lot of faith in them. So I'm hoping that with the matchups we have this week, I'm hoping that we can have a winning week.
Yeah, it's interesting because we'll go over starting pitchers and all that. It feels like mostly the Reds' bullpen has been inflated by the Cubs. And that's what's been interesting. Most of the rest of the league, they've been able to handle. It's really just been this amazing Cubs lineup right now. I'm hopeful that means that, we will be able to, I don't know, stabilize, I guess, is the way I would say it. Because, They sent down Luis May as well this week, which was, I think, an interesting but maybe a good choice. He was starting to kind of falter a little bit here. He had still been, I think, pretty good for the most part, but I think they just needed extra arms, to be honest. So, I think that there's something to be said about the way that, maybe just the inflation. The only one who's really, I think, struggled mightily has been, Brady Singer for the most part. But I think he had such a great start against the Royals. I'm hopeful that's going to lead him into two great starts that we're going to talk about later this week. But Joe, if you don't have anything else really on the Cubs, we've talked about them a lot the last 2 weeks. I feel like we should just head into the injury updates. So, yeah, let's pop into it here. CES, Joe has been tearing it up. He struggled, but he is batting like close to 400, I think, right now in AAA. He is starting to drive the ball for power. We will have to see. The Reds are going to have a decision to make here, I think, very soon with him and what they're going to do. I just don't really know. Spencer Steer, I think, has very much solidified himself at first base if I'm the Reds right now. He's played great defense. He's starting to hit well. You don't want to mess that up. So does CES come in and take some DH spots, or do they even pretend to try to move him back to third base at all? I would hope not. So an interesting decision to be made with him. Austin Hayes hit a ball off his foot. Very thankful, by the way, and everybody else should be, that was not a broken foot. I thought it was for sure when I heard about it. I did not get to see it. I was traveling this week, Joe, but I heard about it, and they were like, yeah, it didn't look good. He's going in for x-rays. I was like, oh, shit, he has a broken foot. We are in trouble right now. We're about to lose this man for a while. Yes, it's his third 10-day DL stint, Joe. He has missed a month of baseball already, but bad luck injuries aside, hopefully, because he's had a calf, a hamstring, and a foot at this point, maybe eventually one of these random injuries just won't happen and he'll be okay. Let's hope. But he should be back here sometime early next week. So they already said that it seems like between days 2 and 3, he's massively gotten better, is what I was reading. So hopefully it'll be pretty quick. I'm glad they didn't mess around this time. Candy is going to rehab here soon, going on a rehab stint here soon. And he should be available for them to have to make a decision here in the next, I believe it's 15 days. So by the end of June, for sure, at least, we will know what is going to happen with Jeimer Candelario. Injury-wise, even though this is not necessarily an injury fully, Wade Miley, his contract came up, and he has decided to elect free agency, as the Reds were not going to call him up. I'm a little surprised that they didn't try to kind of finagle something here to keep him around just in case, but we'll see if maybe if he doesn't get anybody else, maybe he'll come back. That does happen sometimes, so I'm sure he wants another shot at an MLB roster. I can't blame him for that one. I just really thought the Reds would maybe even make a move to allow him to be in the bullpen a little bit or something like that, especially with some guys struggling lately. But what do I know? Joe LaSorsa as well. He has been, let go, elected free agency as well. He had actually apparently added 5 miles an hour on his fastball in the last year. So really interested to see kind of what happens with him. He was starting to figure it out a little bit as well. But injuries, Fraley came back, Joe. For the most part, injuries have not been too detrimental to the Reds over the last couple of weeks, knock on wood, outside of Austin Hayes. It'll be interesting to see kind of what the Reds are going to do here. Do you have any thoughts on any of these guys?
Yeah, I'm surprised Miley opted out. 8.8 ERA. I don't know who's going to give him that chance. I would have stayed probably with the Reds, the team who has you on a roster, and then, I hope you pitch better, hope an opportunity arises. You're not hoping for injury, but there's a chance that the Reds move one of their pitchers for a bat, and they need even someone to make a spot start. Maybe that's your chance to get back up here. So, really surprised about that. In addition to what you mentioned, Rob, There's talking about Cam Collier, our prospect, coming
Yeah.
back here soon. So he's, I think, set to maybe rejoin Chattanooga maybe this week or next week, which will be really good because Chattanooga has some pretty good players right now, including Sal Stewart. So
Hmm.
that'll be fun to watch. He's been a guy that we've tracked for a long time, but obviously this injury, where the thumb injury he has, is a little bit of a setback. And yeah, for these other guys, Hayes obviously has a spot here for CES. Sometimes you just need time, down in AAA, like we talked about with Will Benson. And sometimes you need to actually develop as a hitter. And that's something they were not very well developed when they came up the first time. And now they're starting to figure it out. And for Candy, yeah, we'll figure out what's going on with that. I have no idea what they're going to do with him.
Oh, I can't do that on air. Cut him. That's what I meant today. Yeah, you're not allowed to do that on YouTube anymore. Sorry. Anyways, we'll move on. Quick discussion here. Alexis Diaz also traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Kind of forgot about that, to be honest with you. Feels like, and they're sending him straight down to their like rookie ball thing to figure out his issues, is what they called it. The Reds got back a kid. I don't know. He's last year's 13th round selection, I believe. A righty. He has not pitched very much, so it's a lottery ticket. If he turns into a reliever, great. If not, they at least wanted to get something back before they cut him. So,
Yeah, I saw some Reds fans being upset we didn't get more in the return,
oh
but
my
for a
god.
reliever who's lost his stuff, like we are clearing salary and getting something. You
Yep.
know, I don't think the guy's gonna be very good, but are we getting something back in return? This is more about if they trade him and actually use the money they saved, which I think was like 2.3 million left on
Which
his
is fine.
contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go and go get a bat or go get something, we talked before the season. There are free agents out there that signed pretty cheaply. Alex Verdugo, 1 year, 1.5 million for the Braves. Like, if they use it, great. I mean, it's a good trade regardless because he's a reliever that just didn't have it anymore. And by the time he figures it out, is he going to be worth it to us? I have no idea. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't really understand that thought process of, oh, we needed more for Alexis Diaz. If you guys watched him pitch, he can't hit the strike zone. He's not. He's lost his velocity. Well, he doesn't really have anything left. It's
He's been
hopefully he
bad
figures it
for
out.
a year and a half.
Right. I'm hoping he figures it out for his own sake. I don't like to see players struggle like that, especially when he did give us some good moments 2023. But yeah, I didn't really understand that take. I think it's a decent trade to get some more resources. Hopefully, we use those resources in the future and improve the team. But that's the big if with the Reds front office.
Yeah, and I mean, look, one thing we've been good at is developing pitchers. So if you're going to trade for something, go out and get another pitcher. So if he can get into the system and become something great. If not, then whatever. Like you said, we're saving the money for this year, which I'd have to think that they are looking around at something here soon. But well, we won't dive into that again. We'll try not to. They need to though. Andrew Abbott. Let's talk about a positive here. Andrew Abbott has been unbelievable. He has been so good since he has come back. To the people out there, by the way, Joe, I want to throw this real quickly here. Quick tangent. To any of you who really thought that Andrew Abbott did not deserve a spot on this roster because maybe he doesn't throw the fastest, maybe his stuff is not necessarily the best, you don't know baseball. Just watch the guy. Even if you need to, just look at the numbers. He gets it done. Yes, he gives up a few home runs, but guess what? That's because he can be a little bit more relaxed when it comes down to being in tense situations. I'm going to harken back to that Cleveland game, Joe, where it felt like things were going to get off the rails. He gets out of it and then pitches a great game after it, right? Like, it's really the only time we've seen him struggle. He has been absolutely dominant, to say the absolute least. 8 earned runs given up in 9 games. He's not even giving up 1 run a game right now. It's pretty unbelievable. 53 strikeouts to 18 walks as well, is pretty incredible. He scatters hits. He generally will give up one, every inning or so right now. But this kid has just continued to be what he is. I mean, look at his career. He's had an under 4 ERA. He is one of those guys who's developing. He is finding himself, I think, in a very serious way right now, Joe. And if he's not an all-star, I don't know what is at this point. If he can continue this through June, put him and Hunter Green up there, and Ellie. We'll send 3 this year, maybe. Maybe we'll find somebody else who can really, just come out and crush June. But the fact that this kid's only 26 years old and, if the Reds are looking for somebody who maybe they should give some money to, maybe they should extend, I would get ahead of things and extend Abbott. We've talked about this a lot with some of the young guys. They already did it for Hunter Green. I think Andrew Abbott's a guy that they should give some money to, Joe. He's been relatively healthy for the most part. He has been consistently getting better and better. He's a guy who I think could stand to add, a mile or two to his fastball. But as long as he can kind of keep what he has right now, continue to have the control that he has, Joe, I mean, I don't want to curse him in any way. It feels like every time we ask for a new contract, somebody just struggles. But this dude is consistent on a team that lacks consistency.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is kind of like bringing up the fact about how sometimes we look at too much of this new analytics stuff and not like actually look at what's happening right in front of your eyes. Like if you look at something like I saw this on the Red subreddit a couple of days ago, posting the baseball savant page and seeing like what he does, what his stuff is, what is his stuff rating, what's his like spin rate, everything, right? And it's like he's not going to rank high in that, but he places the ball pretty well and he doesn't allow hard contact. And
Mm-hmm.
in a league where everyone is kind of going for these home runs and he gives up maybe one a game, like, yeah, that's still an issue. But he misses everyone else's bat that game. That's valuable. So I really don't care if people don't like him, if they don't want him to be in the starting rotation because of that. Obviously, now everyone's like, oh, yeah, he's great. It's okay. But not everyone was there before the season, like me and Rob were. And it's just kind of like, you don't need every pitcher to be a flame throwing guy or someone to have the nastiest stuff. And sometimes if you can hit your spots, that's more valuable. And I mentioned this last year a lot. I like how we have so many young different pitchers who do different
Mm-hmm.
things. And his is obviously, not going to be the greatest stuff. He's going to pitch to contact a lot, but he does pretty well. So, and he actually has improved his strikeouts this season too, which is pretty
Mm-hmm.
impressive. So I think you said it, Rob. There's a chance Hunter Green goes to the All-Star game. Obviously, hoping he stays healthy and continues to come back. He's made 10 starts this year. Abbott's made 9. Our leaders are 12 starts right now, Nick Lodolo and Nick Martinez. But there's a chance Nick Lodolo gets there too. 3.1 ERA. If he has a
Yep.
couple good starts by the end of the month, that's crazy. We can have 3 starting pitchers be this good. And then Nick Martinez, who's had a pretty good year but got roughed up against the Cubs, like it's kind of crazy that's going on right now. And Brady Singer, not a bad 5th starter to be honest either. So. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's been fun to see, and it's just fun tuning into Reds games every day for the pitching, not for
Mm-hmm.
anything else really right now, but for the pitching because you do get to see something different every day, and it's like they're trying to get. And I'm not saying they're like them exactly, but they're trying to get to what like the Braves were in the '90s with Smoltz and Glavine and Maddox,
Yep.
where they were all good at different things, and there's some righties, some lefties. It was fun to watch. So if they continue at this pace again, hopefully they re-sign Abbott. Hopefully, they build around these guys and can start bringing in good baseball to Cincinnati because it would be a real shame if we had to possibly waste having this many good starting pitchers, which is rare at these ages, and also having someone like Ellie, who again we talked last week, maybe not a superstar yet, but a guy who's very coveted by other MLB teams, coveted by people who watch baseball a lot. So Abbott's a huge part of that, having a third guy, and he's a good 3 starter for his whole career. I think maybe 4 or 5 starter if you really like that. But he's a guy who's going to be very solid for a long time.
Yeah, and you can get him for less than Hunter Green because he doesn't have as many strikeouts, and he's been technically better than him. Not even technically, he has been better even than Hunter Green. He's been outstanding. I will remind everybody as well, in case if you're freaking out, the Reds do have him through the 2029 season, I think, at a minimum. So he is here for another 4 seasons, even beyond this one. But if I'm the Reds, this is the kind of guy who he's not a high velocity guy, so you don't anticipate as many injuries. Maybe some soft tissue stuff, but he's a guy who's going to be a twirler, right? Like in terms of what he is throwing up there. If I'm the Reds, right, and you can lock down this big 3 because Lodolo, his contract, he's only through 2027. He's a little bit older as well. I don't know. He may be a guy who they kind of let walk. We'll have to see because he'll be almost 30 by the time his contract is up. But if I'm the Reds, like you're kind of looking at really, like you said, a big 3 in all reality, and you have Brady Singer for 1 more year. Nick Martinez is likely gone after this year, to be honest with you. So you're gonna have guys like Rhett Lauder. You're gonna have guys like Chase Burns being able to come up and be something. I mean, Chase Burns is fast tracking himself to the MLB right now. There's a real chance that if one of these five guys goes down and he's already in AAA, he may make his MLB debut this year. Similarly to what we saw with Rhett Lauder last year, especially if they are in the race. So, Joe, there's a lot of hope around this starting pitching. They've got to get other pieces around it though, because like you said, this may be truly the Reds are known for the big red machine, obviously, right, Joe? But that then you had the nasty boys. Have we ever really had a starting rotation that's ever been like this, that has this kind of potential? I don't think so. And Derek Johnson's obviously a magician. They've been able to keep him through 3 different regimes of managers as well. Like, he knows these guys. These things are set up well. If I'm the Reds, I'm ecstatic. I'm like, okay, get all of these young guys done to contracts now, and then go out and get some hitting. Add it with Ellie De La Cruz. Like, there's so much promise with this team. You have one of the all-time great managers as well, man. I mean, it's just, when you see Abbott doing this kind of stuff, it gives me a lot of hope, Joe, because they are going to keep you in games every single night. And I don't know. It's been fun to watch him dominate. A lot of people are saying pitcher of the month. Seems pretty likely at this point. I think he had like a .75 ERA or something like that in May. So I would be shocked if it wasn't that way. But the guy's been dominant. It's been fun to watch. You got any final thoughts on him before we move on to less fun topics?
No, just to say, I mean, when he ends up regressing a little bit in the next month or two and coming down to a 2.5 ERA, 3 ERA, just, that's still pretty good. I'm excited for him. And I think, as we talked about before the season, I want to see him and the other guys go deeper into the season this year. And hopefully that's with important baseball, too. But just, I'm going to try to level everyone's expectation. He's not going to pitch as well the rest of the time. It's going to come down. But he's been doing great, so he deserves credit.
Or maybe he will, and he'll be the best pitcher in baseball this year. I don't know.
True.
All right, Matt McLain, Joe, it's finally time. We have, I think, kind of gone around and, danced around this subject, I think, quite a bit. But this kid is on the struggle bus. He in a major way. His last 7 games, he's 4 for 24. I don't think he has a single extra base hit in that time. This year, he has 4 doubles, 6 home runs, most of those coming in the first week of baseball. He's still walking a decent amount, but he's striking out, at an alarming rate. That has been coming down, I will say. His strikeout numbers have been going down quite a bit. He's starting to make contact again. There's just no power behind it right now. His OPS is 564. It's pretty bad. The thing that's been saving him, Joe, as a counter to some people, is he's been an outstanding defender. He's been one of the better defenders at second base this season, but he is just an absolute hole in the lineup right now. I don't know what they've got to do. There have been a lot of calls for him to be sent down to AAA to kind of figure it out. I don't know if I'm fully on that bandwagon yet, Joe. I'm willing to have that discussion, though, as I know you are. Where are you at with Matt McLain?
Yeah, it's time. If you want to win this season, you just can't have this guy in the lineup every day. If you want to try to give him a couple of days off and then bring him back, that's fine. That's another solution. He's played 51 games and even missed time with an injury, and we've played 60 now. So it's like he hasn't really had that much time off. Mm-hmm. He's a guy who's clearly the approach at the plate is broken. It's not what it was in 2023. We mentioned how many times he misses fastballs up, specifically fastballs down the middle. He can't get around on them. Might be some injury issues still. But it just gets to the point where we were very patient with Spencer Steer to let him get back, right? And he's played 2 more games than Matt McLain this year. He's up to 221. Still not great, but from where he was, impressive. It's getting to the point now where it's like with McLain, you're going to be playing, over 50 games this year with a 175 batting average, a minus 0.4 WAR, which is lower than Santiago Espinal, the guy everyone wants to crucify, which is great. Here's the thing: there are some. It's not like we're, like you said earlier, we're not decimated by injuries, but especially when we get some other guys back, when Hayes comes back and maybe Lux can play more infield, you have Espinal playing third, Lux playing second, or vice versa. Don't really care about that one, to be honest. That's something that maybe you look at. That can help. When Marte comes back, that can help. But if you are serious about winning, I don't know how much longer you can keep McLain up at the major league level and starting every day. I think something would have to change with that. I don't see with his approach being so bad, with him unable to hit fastballs pretty much at all down the middle or up. I don't see where the value is in him. Like you're just hoping he figures it out, and maybe there is a plan that he figures it out. Maybe there's a plan he gets healthier that we just don't know about, and that helps. But we've already seen the results with Will Benson going down, and he's cooled off a little bit, 58 batting average, but still a lot better than he did last year. And we're seeing results with CES playing well in AAA right now. A little bit of me thinks that there was so much momentum when all these guys were called up in 2023, and then they kind of hit that wall of like that everyone hits when they're rookie in any league, and it's like, oh, we have some troubles, we need to figure this out, and they just haven't done that. And maybe going down to AAA is the right thing, so they can work on it in a not no pressure environment and fix those things. And maybe it could be like Will Benson where he comes up better because, you know, I think for me, my perspective, I have to be consistent. I said that CES should be sent down last year. I said CES should be sent down this year when he started poorly. I think Matt McLain has more potential. I think Matt McLain is a guy they want to keep long term. Obviously, they offered him that contract. But if it's not working and you want to win, he needs to be set down. If you're saying, and the front office might be saying this behind closed doors. I don't know. Like they don't tell us they want to win, but the actions don't always meet that, right? If they want him, if they don't want the season to be a winner, right, then keep him up here and let him figure it out up here. But to me, the promise was we want to try to win, we want to try to compete this year, and if that's the case, then I think the move down to let him figure it out while we have other people who play better than him right now that'd be great.
It's really interesting because he is, I think, such a tough case, to be honest, Joe, because he's somebody who, when you look at his overall statistics, generally you want to give a guy 162 games to, I think, really figure out what he's going to be. He's coming off of a major shoulder injury, which is going to be his forward shoulder, right? So it's the one that's going to help him get the bat through the zone, right, and allow that extra power. I know that can come from your right arm, but if you're not able to get it through as well with your left arm as well, it can obviously kind of miss things up. When you look at him statistically, right, throughout his career, he's still a 252 with a 763 OPS. That's how great that 2023 season is. And I would still tend to believe that he is closer to that than what we are seeing now. The problem is, like you said, how do you do this? And what I think they're going to continue to point to, which is unfortunate but fair, his barrel rate is fine. His exit velocity is okay. His hard hit is well above average. His sweet spot is well above average. It's his bat speed that's not been great. It's his Ks that are a little bit up. And it's his expected batting average is one of the worst in baseball. He is not only, yes, his bat speed is down a little bit, but Joe, he's one of the most unlucky hitters in baseball. He's one of the 5 most unlucky hitters in all of baseball. And you have to think at some point something is going to break through for him. And I think that's what they're waiting for, is for him to just have a week where he gets lucky and he has 10 hits in a week, right? I mean, we've seen it happen with Steer. We've seen it happen with Stevenson. We've seen it happen with Ellie, even TJ Friedel, right? I mean, just went on this tear where he had, 7 out of 8 games where he had 2 hits or more. Matt McLain does that, and we're not even talking about it anymore. He's batting close to 230 again like Steer was, right? So it's just like, how much longer, I think, is more the question. Do you just send him down now to AAA and just say, hey, get right, figure it out, get your confidence back, take that pressure off of you so that, he can play still every day? Or like you said, do you give him a couple days off? My opinion is, if you're going to give him a couple days off, just send him down to AAA for like a week and just say, hey, man, look, we're going to, because you can, like, he's been great defensively. He's been well above average defensively, like very, very, very strong. Not elite, but very, very good. You can easily just plug in Santiago Espinal at that spot, Joe, or even Gavin Lux, and be fine for the most part. Like, they're not going to be better than McLain. Espinal might be, but they're at least going to have that extra bat in there, and that could help this team a little bit, right? Maybe you're getting Trevino some DH at bats there. I don't know how exactly they would want to, kind of mix things up, but they do need to do something, and they need to make that decision soon, and they need to make it public too, because while players try to ignore things, when you're 25 years old, you're coming off of a major injury. You haven't even, technically had your first full season as a player, and you know that there's a lot of pressure on you. You've also turned down a contract extension that has gone public, by the way. So I'm sure that that's not helping either. There's a lot of things that are going on with Matt McLain, and probably a lot that's going on in his head right now. And I'd have to imagine that some time off in some regard would help him quite a bit. And I think he can get back to this. That's the one thing I will say. It's not like CES where it's like, I'm a little worried that he may never be anything. I think Matt McLain is like, he is genuinely a hop, skip, and a jump, a couple breaks away from, I think, being back to being the player that we think he can be. It takes a little time to recover from these shoulder injuries, Joe. We know that. And I really think that's part of the reason why he's been struggling against the up fastball and why guys are getting away from it. And once he does catch back up to it, once he gets that timing back, Joe, it's going to be a week or two where guys are going to still try to throw it past him, and he's going to clobber the ball for that time period. And I think that will help. But like you said, if they're trying to win right now, I think, as I said even earlier, he is a hole in the lineup at this point. There is almost no reason to have him in there other than the fact that he is playing well defensively.
And again, if this is just a developmental year, it shouldn't be. I'll be frustrated with the front office, but it's fine. Let him figure it out at the major league level. But if we're trying to win, it's just too much. You want a silver lining. After the first game of the doubleheader against the Cardinals on April 30th, he was batting 154. That was his low point of the season so far after, obviously, getting some bats in the season. He's up to 175. That's something in a month. He improved his batting average by 21 points. So there is a little bit to it, but I think it's just the frustrating part of just having all those pitches that are very hittable. He's moving down in the lineup, and that seemed to help originally, and then he's coming back down. So you just can't have a guy in the lineup every game who's going to hit this poorly unless they're going to on pace to hit like 40 home runs. That's just, the math doesn't add up. I like Matt McLain. I do think he's a chance to figure it out. I wish they would let him figure it out in AAA and at least give us the appearance that they're trying to win because it is so tough. And, like we said, there's guys who can fill in those spots, especially when some of these guys get back from injury as well. And it's just this number crunch that they're going to have. They have a lot of good players. They don't have a lot of X factors right now, which is the problem, right? Like,
yep.
Connor Joe's played well for us. Santiago Espinal's played okay. Like, all these guys, like, they have too many guys who are like utility guys who are good role players, but not enough guys like McLain who we thought would be possibly like a star this year. And it's just, it's taking too long. And I want him to be the best version of himself. And that is probably going to be, for me, it's probably going to be sending him down to AAA and a win-win situation where he can kind of fix his problems, but we can try to win some baseball games here. Because he's just not helping us do that. I think you're right. I think by a lot of metrics, I think I saw on Reddit he was the 10th best defensive second baseman in baseball. The hitting just doesn't make up for it. So if he can improve his approach, if he can have some better at bats, if he can just kind of raise that average by, at this point, 50 points to get 225. It's like, it's a discussion of like, yeah, he can probably stay in the bottom part of the lineup and be fine. But 175, even if you're unlucky, at some point you need to find a way to poke the ball through and get a hit. So I'm really rooting for him, as I do all the Reds players, but like I think he needs the time to go figure it out.
Yeah, and I don't think it helps that, Noelvi Marte is going to come back soon. I would assume sometime this month. He had a 4 for 24 as well, but before that little skid he was having, which he apparently was partially injured during, right? Like, he is smoking the ball. And so, if McLain can't figure it out, dude, you just have Espinal and Gavin Lux kind of, platoon at second base, depending on who the pitcher is. And then you put Marte back at third base, and this lineup's a lot better yet again. I know we're waiting on but this kid's a young 23-year-old former top prospect who was kind of showing out, to be honest with you, Joe. I loved watching him play. He was doing some good things. So, he comes back and he's fine from this injury, and he continues to kind of hit in that 275 to 300 range. You're like, oh, okay, well, this lineup got, expansive again. And then really, at that point, you still only need one more outfielder, and you're in the playoff hunt. Then you're able to play with the big guys. Then you're winning 10 out of 12 games on a consistent basis because your starting pitching will keep you in that position. And that's the thing that I think, and then if McLain does come back and is healthy, then you're finding the way to make this lineup. Like, they're staying right in it. They just need a couple little breaks, and Matt McLain needs to be one of them, in my opinion, if they are going to make it and make a run. Any final thoughts on this before we go through June?
Yeah, just like we said with the other guys too. He's going to be 26 this season, so it gets to the point where how long do you wait for him to figure it out? I mean, again, I still think he can. I still think it's something they're going to be working with him, whether major league level, AAA. We offered him a contract extension. That becomes more dicey now with this whole season, how it's gone. But if you want to win, how long do you wait on guys who are getting to a point where they should be in their primes, where they should be like when you get to be upper 20s, there's no going back. Like, you can't. The development usually doesn't happen at that point. Like 25 is usually like the last ditch effort to kind of get guys to figure it out. And so I'm hoping that it's just an injury thing. I'm hoping he can get sent down, and I'm hoping that some of our young guys outside of Ellie can kind of like start showing us some more potential, start showing us they can be everyday players at the major league level, because that's something that I think that we talked about last week is just that's where it's going to be tough. Is like these guys are getting older, and if they don't show promise, there's other guys their age who are playing a lot better, and they might need to be looking at some free agent acquisitions or trades to get this team better. And it'll be a kind of another missed cycle for this front office, so that'll be tough.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I think 27 is generally when I'm like, all right, you've either figured it out or not. Because I'm still a big believer that between ages 27 and 32 are generally when players are in their prime. Some do before then, and rarely do they after. But I think that's why, like, even like Espinal, right, who's a much older guy, like he's having one of his best seasons. Trevino is, I think, 32, right, and he's having his best batting season that he's ever had. I don't know if I fully agree that McLain is in that area yet, just because he also hasn't had that many games, like, right? Like, he had a full college career. He had 89 games, and then he lost his age 25 or 24 season completely. So I'm not there with him. With other guys, I tend to agree a little more with you, but McLain is the only one, truly the only one that I'm like, I'm going to give him a little bit more time before I'm really willing to kind of write him off in any way. But we'll see. Maybe I end up being wrong. But we'll look ahead. We got a tough June, Joe. Brewers, Diamondbacks, Guardians, Tigers, Twins, Cardinals, Yankees, Padres, with a game against the Red Sox at the end. Luckily, there's only 2 series against interdivisional opponents who we seem to struggle against. We played the Guardians well, obviously, the last time that we saw them. The D-backs are skidding in a major way. The Tigers have come back to earth a tiny bit. The Twins especially have as well. The Yankees are still pretty dominant, and the Padres have come back to earth. But this is still a tough series. All of these teams have been playing better than the Reds this season. Milwaukee has found their way back to being 4 games above 500. They've gone 8-2 in their last 10 games. They have some guys who are finally starting to catch up, who are finally starting to hit. Christian Yelich has had an awful season up to the last couple of weeks. It's just going to be a tough June, Joe, and I think that this, like last year's May, is going to be the make it or break it for this team, right? If they can find a way to still be in the hunt, whatever their record is, right? I mean, they could be 3 games under 500, but if they're 4 games out of the wild card, or maybe if the Cubs go on a serious skid and they're only 3.5 games out of first at that point, then I think you and I would probably both be happy, especially with the July that they have coming up. But it feels like, to me, the reason I wanted to bring this up to you, Joe, is I know May felt like make or break. I think that they kind of kept themselves in the just above the break part for me. I would have loved to have seen them end 500. It's better than last year's May, that's for sure. But it feels really like, to me, if they're going to make a real run and actually be in the hunt and not just be, sniffing 4 games out, in September or whatever, this is going to be that.
Yeah, very tough month. The Diamondbacks fell below 500, so they are, okay, along with the Red Sox, the 2 teams that are below 500 we're playing in this month. But that makes this week that much more important, because I think in this month, these are the 2 teams that theoretically, even though we struggle against the Brewers, but on paper, we should be able to take advantage of out of everyone else. Obviously, there's one game against the Red Sox; they're under 500, but like that's to me like maybe the Cardinals later on in the month, maybe that week with the Twins and Cardinals, that could be it. But this is probably the most important week of the season because if you get to it and you win 2 games this week, like we've done in the past, where big weeks come up, it's going to be harder to come back later in the month. So I'll go ahead and say it. You need to win at least 3 this week, maybe 4, and then for the rest of the month, you're right. If you can stay 3 games under 500 through this stretch, I think that's probably a good number. Then you get to July when you have the Marlins and Rockies right before the All Star break. Maybe build some momentum, get to 500 right at the All Star break. Maybe you get the front office to buy in and maybe use some of that use some of those resources. That's going to be really key. But yeah, very brutal month for the Reds, and hoping we can play good against good competition like we kind of have done in different aspects in the last couple of years. The one 2 years ago, we beat the Dodgers and the Braves, and this year, not so much against the Cubs, but let's see what we can do against some of these better teams.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens. We'll hop in here to the Brewers, Joe. We've got that first series here. We'll have Brady Singer versus Aaron Savali, Freddie Peralta versus Hunter Green, and then Quinn Priester, I believe. Let me make sure that's right. Yeah, Quinn Priester
Yep.
versus Andrew Abbott. This and it's at home, right? I think that's important for this Reds team. They have struggled against the Brewers. It's been really weird. The Reds have played, this variation of the Reds have played the Cubs and the Cardinals better. They've struggled against the Brewers and the Pirates for some reason. This Brewers team is starting to figure it out. I don't know that they are still necessarily in a conversation as a great team for me, Joe. Jackson Churio is still young. He is figuring it out. He will swing at anything. He's got less than 10 walks on the season, and he's played in basically every game. Bryce Terang is an interesting one for me that I personally think is a pretty good player. I think him and Sal Frelick have shown to be pretty solid. Outside of Christian Yelich's 12 home runs, the rest of this lineup is okay. I would say a little bit better than ours, but I wouldn't say substantially. Their bullpen has been similarly hit or miss, right? Just depending on kind of the game. Trevor McGill has been a nice closer for them, and their starting pitching has been okay. We're dodging Chad Patrick, who we struggled against, and Jose Quintana, who's been a nice addition for them. But Peralta's had a good season without a doubt. Quinn Priester is definitely beatable, and I think Aaron Savali, we've hit him pretty well this season, or over the last few seasons. What do you think right now? This Brewers team's a little different than when we saw them. I think we thought they were going to be really, really good. They've been pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, their starting pitching for the most part is what's keeping them going. They have 3 different starters who have under a 3 ERA. That's something that we can't even say right now. So a lot of credit to Freddie Peralta, Chad Patrick, and Jose Quintana, who's made 7 starts and not technically qualified for some of these. And then Quinn Priester, 4.09. And that's okay. They are a team that really doesn't do anything well besides that. Their bullpen is dog shit. They rank 8th worst in the league, 4.56 ERA. Key to this series, I mean, yes, I think it's going to be one of those where you don't want to give up big at bats to their big bats, but I think it's more about limiting rallies by them because they are a team that, like you said, they have 12 home runs from Yelich, who's really just, as you said, heated up this last week or two. But limiting those rallies and getting us to the bullpen, take advantage. Scoring first is very important to us, but it's also very important because they have a 4.56 ERA this season. That's what's going to be important in this one. I'm very scared, though, because the Brewers always seem to have our number.
Yeah, it's interesting for me because I think that this is a winnable series. We are at home. The bats have been better, right? And I think the one thing that I've seen that's been better from the team is not only have the bats been better, but I've seen better at bats, right? I'm seeing more guys work the count. Gavin Lux will pretty much you're throwing 5 pitches to him almost no matter what. Right. Like, Ellie even has really worked counts, I think, a lot better this season, even to the chagrin of people like myself who occasionally struggle with him, ignoring decent pitches down the middle at times or in good hitting spots. I'm going to go 2-1. And here's why. Andrew Abbott's going against Quinn Priester. That feels like a good matchup. I will take Hunter Green over Freddie Peralta any day, and I think the Singer Savali one is just going to be which one of them lasts into the sixth inning potentially. And I would rather take Singer at that point than Savali. I think there's a chance if the Reds jump on Aaron Savali as well early today and they get to the bullpen by the fourth or fifth inning, I it could really mess up the series for the Brewers in a big way. Similarly to the Reds, if they can get to Singer quickly. So I'm not feeling confident in that 2-1, but there's just a little bit of me with Hunter and with Abbott going, especially with Hunter going against the better of the three starters that they have this week. I'm feeling 2-1. I think the bats have heated up a little bit despite the one game against the Cubs.
Fuck it, I'm ready to make the worst prediction in history. Let's go 3-0, Rob.
What?
This matchup,
What?
yeah, this matchup is very,
No,
very
you're
good.
not.
Yeah, Brady Singer against Savali. I think that's a win. I think we have Hunter Green against Peralta. Peralta's been good, but Hunter Green's better, I think, and now he's kind of starting to get back from the injury. Obviously, not the greatest start last time. And then Abbott versus Priester, a game I'm going to. They better not lose that one, or I'll start burning jerseys outside the stadium. Abbott's better than Priester. And we don't face a lefty in this series. I'm not 100% afraid of this lineup. Like we mentioned, yeah, they're definitely bats that you need to avoid and limit those rallies. I think the bullpen maybe gets a little bit back on track. Maybe we can figure out how to use different guys in different situations. Obviously, Graham Ashcraft has been pretty bad lately. And Pagan has kind of struggled, from what he started as, and we don't have the best arms. I get it, but our bullpen's better than theirs. So I'm going to say this is where we take a stand. We go 3-0. It might end up being the worst prediction in history, but on paper, they should win all three, and I'm getting sick of me being negative Nancy over here, picking them to lose and being right sometimes, a lot of the time this year. On paper, this team should win all three games. At least two. They should at least win two.
This is awesome. I love this. What an awesome prediction. Give me hope, Joe. Give us hope.
Oh, gosh.
I love it. I mean, hey, if they win 3 here, I mean, they are very much right back in it. They would be tied with Milwaukee for likely second or third. Likely third at that point in the Central, and they'd probably only be 7.5 games out of first and maybe 2.5 out of the wild card at that point. Pump me up, dude. I'm all about it. All right, we got the Diamondbacks, a team that has really been struggling, Joe. They also unfortunately just lost their best and their biggest addition in Corbin Burns. It sounds like he might be out for a while. Dude, they have been very much on the struggle bus. It's going to be Nick Lodolo versus, something Nelson. Give me 2 seconds here. Where is this guy at? He hasn't started as much. Ryan Nelson. There you go. Then it's going to be Martinez versus Bullpen Day or call-up starter. They may bring out somebody like Shelby Miller, maybe even. Although I don't know if he's stretched his arm out enough to actually be that kind of a guy anymore. And then it's Zach Gallen versus Brady Singer. Zach Gallen has not been the same guy that we have seen in the past. He has struggled horrifically this year to a 5.5 ERA. He is giving up home runs almost every single game at this point. He is walking a ton of guys as well. He has a whip of a 1.4, Joe, which is, you're pretty much scoring a run if you're getting 2 guys on every other inning. The big thing for them, though, is that they do have some good hitters. Their power has absolutely been there this year. Corbin Carroll is playing very well. While Suarez did have 4 home runs in one game, he still has 16. He is still a good old Gino is back. Lourdes Gurriel has hit well. Ketel Marte is still sneakily very solid. Josh Naylor, one of their big additions, has been hitting well. Geraldo Perdomo as well has been hitting pretty well for this season. Pavin Smith, you go down the line, this team can absolutely hit. They can strike out a lot too. Even their best hitters. The fact that Gino has less strikeouts than Corbin Carroll is astounding to me. Joe Carroll's, he's going to Corb a ball out of here, as they like to call it now, where he's going to probably hit a home run in Cincinnati, I would assume. If they can keep him, pretty much locked down, that'd be incredible. He is the fire starter, though, for this team. If you can mostly keep him tampered down, this offense is less lethal. The big thing is that their pitching is awful, and especially with Corbin Burns going down, who we would have had to face. That's a big deal for the Reds. Joe, where are you at with this D-backs Reds lineup or matchup? Excuse me.
Yeah, a good time to get them with them not hitting well. They're a streaky team.
Yeah.
Our Reds fans remember Eugenio Suarez, the streakiest of players at the end. In the first couple of years, he was pretty consistent. Then he was the streakiest player of all time. Corbin Burns hurt. Eduardo Rodriguez still hurt. A couple of bullpen guys hurt for them. They're a team where, like the Brewers, you have to stop rallies. For them, just keep the ball in the park with all their home run hitters they have. Even you mentioned Ketel Marte has 8 home runs at 33 games played. Corbin Carroll, highest home run he's ever had in a season is 25. He already has 16, is crazy. So they're definitely leaning into the power bit, and they're very deep lineup. Right, the pitching sucks. Their bullpen, I said the Brewers' bullpen was dog shit. Their bullpen's worse. Do you want to guess what their bullpen ERA is?
I guess like a 4.6.
5.29.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the Brewers
really undersold it.
Yeah, the Brewers were 4.56, and they're 5.29. So, again, our team is the one that has to score first anyway, but more so this game because we want to get to their bullpen, even if it is a bullpen day or whoever they bring up to start in Corbin Burns' place. Yeah, this is another one where I think the Reds have the better team on paper, and I am kind of shocked that might be like that they are not winning some of these games. So, again, we're going to go through it. Nick Lodolo, pretty good season. Should win that matchup. Nick Martinez, bullpen start, should win that matchup. Singer, Gallen, I don't know.
Singer's been a lot better than Gallen, to be honest.
Yeah, he has been better than Gallen this year. I just, I can't. I don't know if I can predict 2 Singer wins this year. Gallen has a 5.5 ERA, and I don't know. I can't predict a 6-0 week, Rob. I can't do that. So 2-1.
I was going to go 2-1 too. I think that there will be a game where this lineup will light us up. What's weird is that like Nick Lodolo versus, Corbin Carroll, like he's going to be able to keep him in the ballpark. It's going to be really about him keeping Ketel Marte and Gino in the ballpark. But I think the rest of this, like, I'm going to go 3-0 here. It's a good weekend series, Joe, I think, for the Reds. They seem to love to play on Friday nights in those, Awesome City Connect jerseys. That's the one start where I don't know, like it feels like we match up well with them. I'm going to go 3-0 on this one. I'm going to go 5-1, and it's only because the bats have been better. I think the pitching's already been good enough to keep us like, hey, we're in those conversations. You're going against 2 pretty bad bullpens, as you already stated. You're dodging, Corbin Burns, who's been absolutely outstanding this season. The best pitcher you're going to face this entire week is Freddie Peralta. And the Reds have hit bad pitching well. They're not going up against any lefties, I don't think. So it feels weird, but it feels like a great opportunity for them to kind of get going here and have a really good start to the month. They do that, Joe. That puts them at, I think both of us would have them at 5-1. That puts them at 34-32. And you're heading into that really tough schedule. You've already done well against the Guardians. Again, the Tigers are coming back to earth a little bit. Maybe we're just going to catch teams at the right time, which has been kind of our curse. I know this means we're probably going to go 1-5 because like Joe and I just curse everything that we seem to touch when it comes to Cincinnati fans. But I like this matchup against the Diamondbacks, and they've been bad. I mean, and they are, they're due. They'll probably come to Cincinnati. They'll hit a couple home runs, but I think the Reds will be able to kind of keep with them. The one thing they don't have that the Cubs do have is they don't necessarily have the veteran that the Cubs do in terms of some of their hitters. So we'll have to see, Joe. But it's a fun potential week for the Reds, or it's just going to be a nightmare. I would say 3-3 at least is what you got to go this week if you want to try to kind of stay in it. 4 would be nice. 5 would be outstanding.
Yeah, I'm with you. 3 is the bare minimum to even have a faint hope of making the playoffs this season. 4 is good. 5 is great. 6 would be amazing. I'm going to make a caveat. They will lose that Friday game if Diamondbacks wear their City Connect jerseys. So their City Connect jerseys are awesome, and
I don't know
uniforms
if
do
you
matter.
can.
So
I don't know if you can on the road.
I don't know either,
Their
but
City
I'm just
Connect
saying I'm
jerseys are
putting that up
great,
there.
but
Yes, yes. So put it out there.
okay. Well, Joe, you have any wise words of wisdom for us before we head out today?
Okay, so one thing, I got a Santiago Espinal shirt. My birthday's coming up. Everyone's a happy birthday to Rob, whose birthday is tomorrow. But I fully expect to be tarred and feathered outside the stadium, and because people don't like him. But I do like him, and I do think we should move him down to eighth or ninth in the order, and have him be more natural. But he has definitely helped us out, and is doing way more than his WAR would indicate. And then just kind of a more unfun note, Jack Caglianone was a guy we talked about last year a lot with the draft. We talked last week more about how we focused a lot on the pitching and drafting pitchers, and not that I'm saying I regret, taking Chase Burns, but it does sting a little bit that Jack Caglianone is killing the ball in AA, then killed the ball in AAA, and now is coming up to the majors. And I think he's going to be pretty good for the Royals, but he's a guy we could have taken, and hopefully we can get some bats like that in the future, whether it's through trading one of our pitchers or maybe we could draft one too. But that was just wanted to bring up a guy that we had talked about a lot after his college career last year. Rob, you're muted.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry. We'll have to see if he can be that or not. But it is an interesting, I guess, situation. And we'll see if the Reds will draft. I would assume they'll have to draft a hitter this year, but that'll be coming up this month, I believe, as well as it next month.
They moved it back. I think it's next month now.
Okay. All right. But, hey, guys, we really do appreciate it. Hopefully the Reds will do some good stuff here. But that will wrap it up for us on this one. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.